What is going on, guys? My name is Chris, aka HypoChriSy, and I put the D in S&D, and I am back on the TheSnDElite channel, this time with a gameplay for you on the map Encore, going 19-1 in 5 rounds using the PeaceKeeper with Quick Draw and Silencer. And it's a pretty cool game. I'm playing against some guys using riot shields, but they're actually trying to play the objective. They are trying to kill me, as opposed to kind of just sitting in corners waiting for me to run past, where they can use fast hands to kill me with C4s and tomahawks and all kinds of equipment like they normally do. So you kind of have to play smart when you get into a lobby like this, because, you know, riot shielders who are playing fairly aggressively for how riot shielders go means you have to kind of play in a certain way, and you have to be smart about it. So I thought this was a pretty cool gameplay. But anyway, the fact that I kind of mentioned the PeaceKeeper is important in this game as well. It's a gun that I always wrote off for being really inconsistent, but I've kind of found the perfect combination of perks and attachments now. And with Quick Draw and Silencer, it just really is an absolute monster of a gun. And here's my first and only death. I get killed by a tomahawk. This guy absolutely destroys me, and I can't argue with it. It's a good bit of skill from this guy, and I totally didn't expect it as well. So that is the only death, sadly. But yeah, the fact that I wrote off the PeaceKeeper ties in well with the topic of this gameplay, and that is approaching DLC content, or downloadable content. And I don't want to talk about the map design and the actual maps themselves, but I want to talk about, as players and Call of Duty fans, how we approach new maps in this game. Because, do you know what really annoys me? When you pay for a map pack and they come up in the rotation in the Search and Destroy playlists, and then they get outvoted by maps like Raid and Nuketown and Express. It drives me insane, and people moan because they're like, oh, this map sucks. Like, and it's nothing, normally it's nothing to do with the actual design of the map or the way it plays. It's because people are inexperienced on those maps. And I thought about this, and I thought, well, I can actually give people some advice on how to approach these new maps, because I actually do something that perhaps you guys won't do when new maps drop. So I thought I'd share these as a kind of tips and advice video as how to approach DLC content when it lands on every Call of Duty game. Now, this may sound a bit ridiculous, because obviously the only way you get better at DLC content or new maps is by experiencing them firsthand and playing them. That's fundamentally how it works. But there are certain things that you can do that also give you the edge over your opponents, rather than jumping straight into a game when you're unsure about the map, the layout, where the bomb sites are, or anything. So the first thing I do is I jump straight into a private match. And it's actually better to do this with a buddy, because you can kind of help each other out. But what I do is I go into a private match and I just have a look around. I kind of observe the spawn points, where the bombs are, where the various routes are. I look for lines of sight where I can throw equipment into like kind of busy choke points. And it really is just such an easy and simple way to quickly, as well, bearing in mind this only takes like half an hour of your time, just to quickly immerse yourself in a map without having to worry about any opposition. And it really does help, because when you come into that map for the first time, you know exactly where you're going, what kind of bomb site you're going to choose first. And talking about Search and Destroy in particular, when I play my early games on new DLC maps, what I tend to do is I favour a bomb site. It just makes it easier for yourself, rather than having to learn kind of how both work. I mean, you can go to the other bomb site eventually, but what I like to do is favour the bomb site which is nearest to the your spawn, and just kind of see how that plays out first. Learn how your opposition approach it, learn how easy it is for them to get there, learn the timings as well. Timings is so key in the early stages of a map when you're rushing. And I think that just makes a massive difference if you can kind of limit yourself and not set yourself up for a failure. Also, choosing 3 rush routes is a really common way of approaching new maps, or any map for that matter. If you choose 3 simple rush routes that you can stick to on both offensive and defensive spawns, then you're not going to have a problem. And, you know, rushing is a certain playstyle that requires a bit of luck, but more importantly, map knowledge and map control. And you need to practice and learn those routes as quickly as possible. So that's something that I would suggest to you guys as well when you kind of approach new maps, is pick those routes really early. The other thing to mention is that, whilst I talk about rushing, what I tend to do when I approach new DLC maps is I play really conservatively. What you have to remember in Search and Destroy is that the fate is always in your hands. The control of the game is always in your hands. You can play it as fast and as slow as you like. And in these early stages, it's quite wise to kind of play conservatively. Wait for the opposition to make the mistakes first, because they're playing new maps too. And you know, you need to remember that, is that they're probably going to make as many mistakes as you are. So why not wait for them first? And in line with that, it's really important to kind of be confident and not indecisive, because, you know, in any Search and Destroy environment, despite there being new maps or not, being indecisive is never a good thing. So you need to be confident, you need to trust in your own ability, because the chances are, on new maps, if you're playing confidently, you're going to be coming up against players that aren't really playing that confidently, because they haven't learnt these maps yet, and they haven't kind of approached these new situations that you're in. So that almost gives you an advantage in itself, just being confident and playing directly. And then the last point was maybe just to play as a team. You know, the worst thing you could probably do when you're approaching new maps is play solo, because you might come up against a full party, you might be at a disadvantage for that reason, but also it's just going to make your experience a lot better. And I think that, you know, whilst these may sound like really simple and basic tips, they are going to help you, because so many people don't like the new maps, not for anything to do with the map design or how they play for Search and Destroy, but because they just don't play them enough to be confident on them. And Search and Destroy is all about confidence, it's about reading people and being smart. But I hope you guys found this video useful, and I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. I thought it was a pretty cool game, and I love this map. I hated it when it first came out because I thought the layout was really wide open and it didn't suit my kind of playstyle. I like to rush with SMGs in kind of narrow corridors, but this gameplay was pretty good and I really enjoyed it. And I hope you guys found my tips useful, and I hope, you know, if you guys are kind of not sure about any of the newer maps, that you approach them in perhaps a different way now that's going to help you kind of transform your viewpoint on them, because there are some really good maps that have come out in the DLC packs. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.